The biggest problem with woodworking instructions isn't that they're wrong. It's that they look complete right up until the moment you try to follow them. At first, everything feels clear. You've got your materials, your tools, maybe even a clean diagram in front of you. You start cutting, assembling, making progress. It feels like you're finally doing it right this time. Then somewhere around the middle of the build, things start to shift. A step jumps forward without explaining what happened in between. A joint appears in the diagram that was never actually shown being built. Measurements that seemed fine suddenly don't align in real life. And now you're standing there, trying to figure out what you missed. So you go back, you reread, you double-check your cuts. And slowly, a different thought starts to creep in. Did I mess this up? Or is something missing? Most people assume it's them. So they adjust. They improvise. They try to fill in the gaps. The instructions left behind. Sometimes it works. Most of the time, it doesn't. And that's where the frustration really builds. Because it's not just one missing step. It's a chain reaction. When one step is unclear, the next one becomes harder. Then the next. And before long, the entire project feels unstable, not because of your skill, but because the structure you're following isn't solid. So why does this happen so often? On the surface, it seems like poor writing, or maybe the creator just rushed through the instructions. But that's only part of the story. If you look closer, most woodworking instructions are created in a very specific way. They're written after the project is already finished. Someone builds the final piece, takes a few photos, sketches a diagram, and then tries to reverse engineer the steps. And that's where things start to break. Because when you already know how something is built, your brain skips over the hard parts automatically. The tricky alignment, the order of assembly, the small adjustments that made everything fit. Those details feel obvious in hindsight, so they never make it into the instructions. But for someone seeing the project for the first time, those are the exact moments that matter most. It's a bit like giving someone a map that shows the destination clearly, but leaves out the turns that actually get you there. You don't notice what's missing until you're already lost. And by that point, fixing it isn't simple. Because woodworking isn't forgiving in the middle of a build. A small misalignment early on doesn't stay small. It compounds. A fraction of an inch becomes a gap. A gap becomes a joint that won't close. And suddenly you're not adjusting. You're rebuilding. That's why so many projects stall halfway through. Not because people lack patience, but because the path forward stops making sense. And here's the turning point most people never consider. The real issue isn't your ability to build. It's the fact that you're following instructions that were never designed to be followed step by step in the first place. They were designed to show a project, not to guide someone through building it from scratch. Once you see that, a lot of things start to click. The repeated mistakes, the wasted materials, the half-finished builds sitting in the corner of the garage. They're not random, they're structural. When instructions skip steps, they force you to make decisions you're not prepared to make yet. And every one of those decisions adds uncertainty. Over time, that uncertainty turns into hesitation. You second-guess your measurements. You hesitate before cutting. You spend more time checking than building. And eventually, the process stops being enjoyable. But when the structure is clear, when every step leads cleanly into the next, something changes. You don't need to guess. You don't need to pause and reinterpret. You move forward with momentum. Because the path is already laid out in a way that matches how the project actually comes together. And that shift is subtle, but powerful. Because it doesn't just change the outcome of one project. It changes how you approach every project after that. instead of asking, "Can I figure this out?" You start asking, "What's the next step?" That's a completely different mindset. And if you want to go deeper into that, understanding what a complete plan actually looks like, and how to recognize the difference before you start cutting, there's a structured breakdown linked in the description that walks through it in detail. It also includes a practical guide and a step-by-step framework you can use to evaluate any plan before committing your time and materials. If this kind of breakdown helped clarify things, consider subscribing. And next time you look at a set of instructions, pay attention to what's not there, because that's usually where the real problems begin.